So the Calgary Police Service Retail Industry Crime Initiative, we're working on nearly $230,000 worth of property believed to have been stolen here in Calgary by organized retail crime offenders. The property includes more than 1,570 items of high-end clothing, wallets, purses, coats, sunglasses, and baby items, which were seized by the Vancouver Police Department Anti-Fencing Unit. And through that investigation, it was determined that it was done by an organized retail crime ring. So what we're doing is we're reaching out to our local retailers here in Calgary to identify the recovered property, as we do believe it was stolen from Calgary. The thefts are believed to have taken place between October and December of 2013. Any retailers who believe they've may been a victim, we're asking you to contact myself or Constable Critchley and just send us an email to rici@calgarypolice.ca. Part of the Calgary Police Service Crime Prevention Team has RICI, which is a joint partnership program between the Calgary Police Service and retail businesses, and they employ loss prevention security personnel. So what we do is we use a real-time collaborative website, and we compile this information, utilize this information on retail offenses, and it assists us in combating the problem of organized retail crime. All right.
Do you think that this stuff was all stolen in like one heist, or was it done over a period of time?
It's typically done over a period of time, but you'd be surprised how quickly a large volume of product can be taken in one day when you go to multiple retailers throughout one day, and they can gather up to, we've seen $6,000 to $10,000 of property in one day, and you do that over 3-4 days, you're looking at a significant amount of property.
So how is these thefts being done?
So they're done, there's multi-levels of organized retail crime. Basically at the bottom level, what you have is our booster level, who is the people who are driven to go do the stealing portion of it, either driven by drugs or other substance abuse issues. The organized portion direct them to go pick it up. I would like 4 items of this, 5 items of this, you bring that back to me. I will then in turn give you the cash, which is typically 30 cents on the dollar, or directly for drugs.
Can you tell us how many people may have been involved in this ring?
In the ring in Vancouver, there was only 2 people charged, but there were several people on the fringes that did organize and assist in the thefts. We don't have an exact amount, but for organized retail crime rings, it takes several people to go through and collect enough property, then send it through the chain of events of the laundering of it, the disseminating, and the selling of those items.
Would this be classified as a sophisticated organization?
Absolutely. As you get further up that chain, that's what it is. It's a sophisticated organization that works at low level, which looks to be just small thefts taking place one at a time. You combine all those small thefts, which then become a large theft. That money is then either used to live or redisseminated into other illegal organizations such as drugs or other modes of theft.
Men and women of all ages?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So these break-ins, like at night, where they'll break in and steal a bunch of stuff, or are they going in during the day?
Oh, this is daytime. This is professional groups of people that go in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people working in tandem. They go into a store and they have a method. They will do distraction techniques. They will use booster bags, which are bags that are lined to defeat sensors. They'll walk out with 3, 4, 5, 6 jackets that are worth, $3,000 a piece, which we have recovered here that we have on display. And that's done multiple times. And this group does it over and over. They have it to a science. It's their daily job. They get up, they plan what they're going to do in the day, they find out which stores, they target them, they watch for surveillance, they watch for countermeasures. They're very, very good at what they do, and they're generating a lot of money from this product. So these people will go to what we call a fence, which is a middle person, and that person will determine how they're going to sell it. There's various modes that property is being sold. With today's technology, we have auction sites. We know some typical ones that are out there, such as eBay, Kijiji. Volumes are being sold there, which in fact poses a problem because it increases our market demand, because people aren't aware that sometimes these products are stolen, and we're asking people to use common sense. If a deal is too good to be true, please do not buy that item, as it could be stolen property.
What are the consequences for somebody who does? If you find a $3,000 jacket online and it's $200, find out later it's stolen, can those purchasers also be charged?
There is that avenue. We do have a charge of possession of stolen property. There's different circumstances to each one, and we would have to investigate case by case. But in that case, let's say you bought this jacket for $200. Alarm bells should be going off for the fact the jacket is $3,200. I'm only paying $200. I'm meeting a person I don't know in a dark parking lot that I've asked, no questions to. The biggest thing is don't buy that product in the first place. But if we do come across it, what will happen, we will seize the item as stolen. So not only are you out your jacket, you're also out the money that you paid to purchase it.
There must be a demand for it, or this wouldn't happen.
You got that. That's exactly. There's a market demand, which is unfortunate. And I think that's just a little bit of lack of education that there is so much stolen property out there. I don't want this to seem like there's no legitimate sellers out there, because there are. But with the rise in organized retail crime, they've taken advantage of the systems we have to sell property. And there's a lot of people out there looking for a deal. When you want a deal on an item that's very expensive, when it's $3,000 and you're seeing it for $1,000, you may think that's a good deal. But typically that's a deal that's too good to be true.
How much tougher is your job now that there are sites well established like Kijiji and eBay? I mean, people go on those sites looking specifically for deals, and you expect a deal when you go there. So does that make your job a lot more difficult?
It has. It really strains our resources, because you do have to do some due diligence and research on those files. So we do spend a little more time on the computer. It's a little bit more difficult to track back on people to conclude those investigations. We have to have our proper court proceedings to have good convictions in court. So it is time consuming, and it's very prevalent, and it's becoming very easy. And perhaps some people that maybe back in the day wouldn't have taken part in events like this are now doing it, because it seems almost faceless to do it across the internet.
Do you have any numbers to suggest how big this is in Calgary, like how many people are at the sophisticated level of organizing this stuff?
Well, we've had this unit in place, the Organized Retail Crime Initiative, in place for a couple of years. And just out of those 2 years, we have several pockets of people that are running at different levels of organized retail crime. And it is quite common. It is very common. We're finding them, whether it be through straight product or through counterfeit credit cards to purchase either merchandise or other gift cards. And we see it on a daily basis. So that can give you an indication of how much activity is actually out there.
So when was this property that we're talking about today, when was it seized?
So this was seized by the Vancouver Police Department on December 7th of 2013. So through that investigation, it's determined that probably anywhere from the time of October to December, the property was actually stolen, and then the property was seized on that date. We've been able to then backtrack that property into Calgary and determine that it was in fact stolen here.
It was just Calgary itself, or was there other communities involved?
Right now, we only know Calgary and area. We have determined that some outlying jurisdictions, such as out in the Balzac area as well, those stores have also been victimized, and that property did come from there. And as well, in the seizure, there was some local Vancouver property as well.
Is that typically how it's done? So you get items that are stolen in a certain area, and then they're transported to another area to be sold, so that they're harder to kind of track?
You've got it exactly. Sometimes that is the method, and that's the way they are moving items so that you aren't tracked. Once you move it out of the jurisdiction, then you've got two investigative bodies working on the same file. So the importance here is for law enforcement jurisdictions to work together as a team, especially since organized retail crime travels now. And the other piece to that is that relationship with your loss prevention and security people to give you that real-time information is what we get on our website, so that we know what's happening right away and we're able to infiltrate sooner than later.
So you said you're reaching out now to retailers to try and return it.
Yes.
If we don't know who it belongs to, how are police able to determine it came from Calgary?
So in this particular seizure, all of these items have their original tags on them. All of the sales tags, all of the SKUs, all of the price codes are on there. So loss prevention or other corporate security outlets, they would be able to come and identify those items. And if they can show also in that time frame any shrink or loss or possible offenses that took place and weren't reported to us, we should be able to determine that that property is theirs or not.
So they, like all this stuff, you see groups of people going in and taking all this stuff, would it be then packaged and sort of shipped in one truck Vancouver, or is it like done in smaller parts?
That's definitely one way. Is it's compiled into one fencing area, and I'm glad you brought up the repackaging piece, because what is happening with repackaging, with the clothing, it's not an issue, but when food products, when perishable products are taken, repackaging becomes a health and safety issue. And in this case, there was some baby food recovered. So with baby food and other perishable products, there's expiry dates on those. You need to keep it at proper temperatures. It has to be stored properly. So if you have meat products, which is also another big item that is a big trend in Calgary these days for organized retail crime, they will repackage that meat. It's not kept at proper temperature. It's put in places that aren't clean, such as drug houses, flop houses, and other areas that aren't safe. So repackaging is huge. It does get put to a central location and shipped out to somewhere else, whether it be a restaurant, an unknowing customer, a knowing customer, or some other location.